going to move the needle, we need to know what the hell we're actually moving.
What is the
right?
Right.
What is the needle?
And I would go, yes, you're 100% right. It is walk-in traffic.
I believe that there are 5 metrics. 1, what did I spend? How many opportunities did it generate? What were my closes? What was my gross? What was the ROI? I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
Those are it. That's
Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, DC Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and I have
Rah Mudd.
Larry Bruce.
And thank you for joining us on another episode of the Dealercast, Old Guys That Know Shit.
Or at least we think we do.
at least
Hey,
we think we
came
do.
up
As
the
far
idea.
as you know, we do. That's
Yeah,
what we're telling
exactly.
you, and this is on the internet.
So that makes
it must be
real and
true.
It must be true.
Hey guys, I'm just so glad to be back here again, and this amazing, beautiful studio with you guys, and just recording some really cool content. We have an amazing episode for everyone out there today. We are talking about marketing that moves the needle, not just marketing.
Yeah.
Because that could be like a whole other podcast.
That could be a whole other podcast.
All right.
Moves the needle.
That
podcast.
actually moves the needle. All right. So let's kick this off. Kind of just when you guys hear marketing that moves the needle, what's the first thing that kind of comes to your brain?
First thing that comes to my brain is floor traffic.
Yeah.
That's moving the needle.
We need that?
Well, that's part of it. That is the needle. Floor traffic.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is, do you know the difference between marketing and branding and advertising? Mm-hmm. Because too many of us get caught up in this idea that marketing now is a banner ad online.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't forget,
And someone saw it.
Yeah,
Remember
they're
that.
in market.
They're
They're at the top of the funnel.
Yeah, the top of the funnel.
But they got to come down to the bottom.
They're going to
funnel.
TCP/IP over broadband by the time they get to the bottom. I mean, you don't want to forget all these acronyms.
Right,
I love all these things, right? But so branding and advertising is what you say to a group of people, what you say to the market about your business.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Marketing is what you say to a customer to help them buy the thing you sell.
So it's not just a bunch of buttons and levers that we have in some magical room. I don't know about you guys, but I've been doing for marketing for a long time. I love it when a dealer calls me up and goes, "Hey, can we turn that up?"
Well,
Yeah,
sure.
hold on. Let me go back to. I'm going to go back to that special room that you've never seen. I'm going to find your button. I'm going to pull a few levers, press a couple buttons, and I'm going to turn that up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been doing advertising marketing for car dealers for a long time. I believe that today's market has forgot what the needle means and how you turn it up, and had forgotten what promotion means. Right? Mm-hmm. Because what the internet did is it took away promotion.
Well, I mean, it came to all you have to do is put
a banner
the offer, just put the ad or the offer, the banner ad online, and they'll just come buy it.
And
They'll be coming in with their checkbook in their hand. Can I
and
have
that
a
was
sticker
more
for that car?
efficient too, because everyone would see it and there was no waste, right?
Yeah, no, of
it's
course
the biggest waste there is.
100%.
Well, it just never translated anything. So like, kind of what you were saying with Rob is like, really, if we're going to move the needle, we need to know what the hell we're actually moving.
What is the
right?
needle? Right.
What is the needle?
And I would go, yes, you're 100% right. It is walk-in traffic. If I was to step it back one step farther, it was how many meaningful conversations did my marketing dollars get me into this
Yes.
month?
So I believe that there are 5 metrics that a car dealer only cares about, right? 1, what did I spend? How many opportunities did it generate? What were my closes? What was my gross? What was the ROI? I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Those are it. That's it. And everything else is in the middle, and that's what the dealer wants the marketer to do for them. But today, the marketers get caught up in micromanaging
the middle
metrics that mean nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And they've taught dealers to put money into a black box called Google, and that all the answers that would be spit out were correct.
Oracle.
But no one ever got to see how they make the answers or if the answers are even real.
Right.
Right?
No doubt. That's
But
why
billions of dollars that we keep giving these
yeah.
guys.
I mean, Jason hit the nail on the head. I mean, the tagline for BDC Box is start a conversation, not a campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
If you believe that people still buy cars from people.
yeah,
Right? I mean, some people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's so funny that we've completely abandoned, and in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking earlier. Remember 1999?
Oh yeah,
Orlando, NADA.
NAD. Yeah,
It was the .comers
most of it.
are going to come
some
in.
of it I'd have forgotten. Yeah.
Well, what I do remember is this: that they were going to change the way
You
we
buy a
retail.
car.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And they were. It was an non-efficient model, and car sales guys are car sales guys, and we're going to turn it around because people are smarter than that. And what happened? It busted, right? And I think that there's been a hangover for that long of people trying to figure out how to change the business, right? Change the business, and then everybody wanted to be like Elon Musk,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
and not have to. What do I want to say? Not have to go direct to the consumer, not have to have a dealership or a location, and people would just show up and buy cars.
Right.
Well, I think this is going back to kind of what Larry was saying about what is that messaging in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I mean, look, we're all consumers.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that we appreciate most about the brands that we buy from is that they provide us a buying process, not a sales process, right? Like, I mean,
Correct.
anything that we, anything that we purchase online or anything that we're really kind of buying, at the store, if I need a good fishing rod, there's obviously a place I go to because I want to talk to someone.
But you
I want
just
them
said
to know
it.
it's
I
local
want a
and
good
stuff.
fishing rod. You're solving a problem, right?
Right.
Yes.
That's what
You're
good
always
marketing
solving a
does.
problem.
It solves a problem.
Yeah.
And usually the dealer's problem is I don't have enough people to talk to, right? Because I have a close ratio and I know how many people
But
I
see,
need to talk to.
but that's just funny because they do. They do. I mean, by the time we get through building a CDP, the CDP consists of well over 50, 60 for smaller dealers, 50, 60, 70,000 people that they've sold services, sold a service with. By the time you get through with all the conversations that you have to have for a 150 car store, you're talking about 140,000 conversations a month.
Yeah.
A month that you have to have. It's not scalable to have these conversations. You got to get past that, but you've got to have the conversation. It's got to stop with I'm going to talk at you. And you're going to have to start talking to them.
Well, and that goes in what we were talking a little bit about the actual messaging and the marketing, right?
Yes.
Because I'm with you. I think too often, most of the marketing I see out there is yelling at someone.
Yes.
Today, now, now, must act.
But that still works. So here's a metric that I use and talk about frequently. 92% of everyone that wakes up this morning goes somewhere where they're told what to do.
Well, and I agree with you, and I think it's based on kind of what stage that they're in, right?
Yeah.
It's
If they're
like
at the top of the funnel or the bottom.
Yeah, exactly, and I agree with you, and that's kind of what we were talking about. It's like talking to the customer at where they are.
Yeah.
Like if they're super high, then we need to have marketing that talks to them super high. I find that there's a complete imbalance of that, and all we want to talk about is just how, like, hey, it's now. Well, this is going to be the moment.
And you have
Time
tier
is counting.
advertising. You have tier one, which is brand and the OEM. You have tier two, which is association work.
Yeah.
And then you have tier three, which is the retail.
Right.
And that's gotten kind of confusing with the digital today, the digital world.
Because everybody wants to get everybody in market.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone.
I mean, the reality was when we didn't have all this stuff, when we started AIM back in 1999, we did the Ziegler stuff. We didn't have all this stuff.
No.
Right. So what did we do? We just asked the customer, "Are you looking to buy a car?"
Right.
We started a conversation.
Come down and talk to us.
Yeah. We started a conversation, and it, you know what? It worked.
Well, and I think that's kind of going back to like a little bit. We got down kind of this rabbit hole of like KPIs and what really should we be looking at, right? I mean, you're right. I mean, and I do blame the agencies. I really, really do, because they kind of did like this whole like jazz finger thing of like, look over here, look how pretty these are. It's clicks, it's impressions, they're eyeballs. There's there's all this engagement. I'm like, really? Because I'm not in a conversation with even a fraction of those individuals.
Right.
So what do I actually care?
What do you
now?
define an engagement? What do you think an engagement is?
Yeah.
Well, you clicked on my ad.
But you're right.
That's not an engagement, brother.
No,
But
you're
the
right.
digital world brought ad people the ability to show a metric on a screen that something took place.
Yes.
Before that happened, it was not smoke and mirrors, but if a guy didn't keep an uplog, then you didn't know if anything was working, right? And so then they back it up, and now you've got digital marketing that counts things, and you can see it, and it must be working.
Well,
but
it's
what
just a
they're
number.
counting isn't the right things that mean a different to the car dealer.
Yeah.
Look, like I said, the topic of our thing is move the needle. If we want to move the needle, then we need to look at data that is moving the needle.
Right.
Have more
That's
conversation.
important to the customer.
So, I've said this now on many different podcasts. You out there watching, listening, if you ever watched my podcast, you heard me say this many, many times. But in 2011, I stopped counting leads. I legitimately just did not care how many leads were coming into my dealership. What I cared about was how many conversations
I had, right.
I was in, right? Because, like, I mean, this is why I hired these people. I hired these people not for their ability to sit there and follow a 120-day CRM templated blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, I hired these people because they were great at communicating themselves. They have awesome personalities. They have passion
energy.
and they have energy. And it's
Right.
like, well, that's not going to come out in a 120-day, day 1 do this, day 17 do that, day 14
Click
do
on this
this.
button,
and
click
blah,
on this template, send that.
That's not going to come out. So it's like I stopped measuring that. And I started measuring, conversations, because conversations through training and development I can turn into floor ups.
Yep.
100%.
They sterilized the promotion business, right? And made it all about the metric. And then they created new metrics that no one had ever heard of before. And that became the needle generator, or the needle reader, I suppose, was the box, the Google Analytics.
Well,
was everything.
those are feel-good metrics. I got all these unique visitors. I've got all these great clicks. Look at my time on site. It's big. It's and they could go to their 20 groups and talk to their peers and say, look at all these great little metrics I have. Well, according to the composite, you're really not selling any more cars.
That reminds
so
me
what
of
are
a
we
meeting
doing
I had
here?
out in L.A. with some guys, with NBC fellas, KNBC out of L.A. We were going to show up at a dealership in Simi Valley. It was a Chevy store, and pitch them on the idea of using KNBC as a reach medium to tell people to drive them to a website and look at the offers, blah, 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 right? But it was a product that was going to be sold by the TV guys. And so they had contracted with us to help them do this. So I'm like, okay, let's go out to California, have a meeting with this dealer in Simi Valley. I drive out with one rep from the TV station, and another guy meets us. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in. This guy knows we're coming. We're going to just sit down, and we're going to ask some questions and how his digital is working today, and then we'll move it into what our offer is, right? So we sit down, introduce each other. He's a really nice guy. He's the GM. And we start talking, and I asked, so how many cars are you guys selling a month? We're selling about 175, 180. Okay, that's good. That's a good number. Now, what about your digital market? The visits to your website and so on. How are you doing there? And this was 15, 17 years ago, so it was at the beginning. He says, well, I'm doing great. We had, on average, 13 to 14,000 unique visitors a month to our website. Ooh. And I said, gee, well, that's pretty good. Now, you said you sold 180 cars? That's not a real good close ratio, is it? He closed his book, and he said, get the you-know-what out of my dealership. And I was stunned. And then I tried to backtrack. I said, sir, I'm not making fun. I'm just trying to show the not the insanity, but the differentiation between the number of people that visit your site and then the number of cars. What happened to all the other people that you paid for?
Yeah. So what is it? It was 14,000 unique visitors
every month.
Every month, and how many?
180 cars, which was a good job.
I'm just saying.
Well, you got to equate that. You know, I had this conversation, similar conversation in the late 2010s.
But here, let me just finish.
Yeah.
What the takeaway was, it wasn't about how many people showed up. It was about how many people they could get to their website.
Right.
Yes.
That was what he
Wrong
was proud
KPIs.
of.
Wrong, total wrong KPI. Yeah. You know, I mean, and the way I explained it to Alan Hall, this was with Alan Hall in the 2010s. It's like I asked him, you know, Alan was running Ron Carter at the time. I said, well, if 25,000 people were on your lot and you sold 180 cars, would you be happy? Would you be talking? Would you be high fiving your sales team? No, you'd be like pulling people's head, you know, teeth out the back of their heads. What the hell's going on? But 25,000 people here, and all we could get was 180 cars. Are you out of your mind?
Well, again, and I think we've definitely done a good job of kind of driving home, guys. If you're out there watching, listening, is that hey, we're looking at the wrong KPIs here, right? Now let's get into a little bit of kind of about some of the different platforms out there, because I love this part. This is my favorite part of the marketing. I call it the marketing stew. Right? Where like I got a dash of Facebook in there, and I got a sprinkle of, you know, letters, and I got a handful of flyers, and I got a little bit of my CTV, and I got to like put all these ingredients together, and they all have to kind of like mold and mesh and just like taste good to the customer, not to me. That's actually one thing I really want to make sure we identify first, right? Like it, right.
Happens not too often.
This is not about me. How many times have we seen some dealers with some really large egos? We're going to make the whole marketing thing about me. It's got to be something that tastes good for them. So here's my question then for you guys: is how do you guys kind of approach that stew, and what have you seen been working?
So my dad, Jim Mudd Sr., taught me this a long time ago, many years ago, is he said, what will be more effective if I slap you in the face with this because I'm on all these different things, or if I hit you with this, which is going to be more effective? And the point he was trying to make is dominate something first.
100%.
Before you try to do everything, because if you do everything, you do nothing well.
Right. Right. That was the old TV. That was the old TV thing. Never run the vertical model. Always run the linear model.
And why is that? Well, because people buy cars once every 6 years. Why do most people? Well, there's surveys out there. The two people dislike most are dentists and car dealers. And why is that? Because they don't do it with frequency.
Yeah,
that's true. Very true.
100%. I mean, that's a fact. But I mean, you know, and at the end of the day, that comes down to realistically how, you know, for me, and the way I've always looked at it, and the way that every company I've ever run or started, we looked at it was it's two ingredients, but the two ingredients are going to equal to one thing.
Car deal.
Well, they're always going to equal. Many car deals comes out of this as 100% the outcome that you have to measure, right? But the ingredients are back to advertising and branding and marketing. And that advertising and branding is pushing more marketing, and more marketing creates more advertising and branding. It's this circle. Yep. And so when I'm looking at, you know, the advertising and branding side, these metrics of Facebook or Google or whatever else, how many names, email addresses, and mobile numbers is this providing to me? Because that's going to drive my marketing. That's going to drive my conversations. Yep. And then how many conversations am I having? And then I know that if I keep having these conversations, that's going to make more of this happen.
Those are called conversions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, hey, you know,
here we go. Now let's really
because I had this real big fight going on in 2010 with Auto Trader about what the hell a conversion was. Right. You know, a conversion ain't a click. BDP. Okay, no.
Well, look, here's the way I've always, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. I've always, for me, conversion from a marketing perspective is just that I'm one step closer to getting someone into a conversation, right? And it was just like I got him to take an action, or do something that just gets me that much closer. To your point, I think there are some agencies out there and maybe some website providers that really decide to go mess up this word and what the actual meaning of it is.
Oh, God, yeah. A conversion is a name, an email address, and a mobile number.
Yeah, it gets me one step closer.
Or a mobile number, right? That gets me to my conversation because that's the only way I can really have a conversation today. All right. So you've got to have more conversations. More conversations equals more sales.
Yep.
Absolutely. Period.
With anything.
With anything. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. So more conversations. Now the real problem comes into is that the number of conversations need to be had can't be handled by your sales staff. That's the hard part because
when you say can't be handled, you mean they're not able to now, or you never want them to?
In the traditional dealership, I know where you're going kind of with this, Larry, is that like we don't craft out enough time for our sales team to get into a meaningful conversation.
Right. I mean, you can't, right? Because the sales, what we've always asked the salesperson to do: follow up with your existing customers, create your own little business within this business. Work your customers. They were never your customers to begin with, but work your customers, right? That's what we want them to do. Then we want them to take all the ups, and we want them to take all the calls, and we want them to take all the leads, and then assign time to these.
Yes.
To call, email, text all of these people, and then you've got the guys that are really smart. Like Ben Stock's a great one. There's more car deals in your service department than $100,000 worth of advertising would ever buy you.
100%.
So now you want to work the service drive, and you want to get deals in from the service drive, because realistically, I don't care what dealer you are, 50% of your customers on your drive never bought a car from you in 10 years.
That's right.
That's a fact. It's proven with every dealership we've built a CDP for. It's a 100% fact. It will be true in your dealership. It'll be true in every dealership out there. The fact of the matter is there's a ton of sales business there. Now, then so working that, by the time you're done, this is 45,000 people.
There's more data in the service drive than there is on the front end.
Oh, by far.
Oh, huge.
Like
and
3
so
times
if you're
that.
a data-driven business, that's where you want to start.
That's where you want to. That's where you can't leave it alone.
No.
Well, and we know the fundamental reason why is because the amount of transactions. Going back to what you were saying earlier, it's only every 3 to 6 years that someone's getting another vehicle.
But they're servicing every month.
So we're able to test things with the objective of getting them to get into a conversation, because we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming through our service department every single month.
Right.
We don't get that many.
Hundreds a day.
Well, then your salesperson has to be there for at least 2 years before they can start working their customers that they've sold to.
Right.
Because they don't buy a car.
But they never make it 2 years. So these are all orphan customers. So nobody ever works them. I mean, so you get through this. I mean, it comes down to scalability. You're at 45,000 people a month that you got to talk to. Yeah. If you're talking to them in text and email, you got a 30% reply rate. By the time you get through with everything you've got to do to maximize your data, you're talking 140,000 conversations at the best BDCs in the country, doing nothing but having conversations with customers outside the store, can do 60 conversations a day. That means you need 60. You're going to be in the 90 BDC reps and about a $6 million payroll. You hooking up for that?
No.
No, hell no. But where are you going to put them?
You have to start then with understand the metric of that body of people, the 45,000. Only 2% of them are going to buy this month.
Probably.
Right? I mean, you can do the numbers. You can do the numbers. You can go back 20 years and how many cars get sold new, how many get sold used. There's about 15 to 16 million new. There's about 42 to 47 million used.
Right.
Totally about 60 million cars. There's only 180 million licensed drivers in the United States. So do the math. They can't.
There's only a certain percentage of people that are actually going to be in the market
to buy
at a given time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was kind of and Larry, you were kind of touching on it too, and I love kind of finding some of these rabbit holes to kind of go down, because I think sometimes we think of marketing that's moving the needle as just the marketing to get them to the point to give up their first name, last name, email address, but that actually that is just one step into the market. We have to continue to market a message that is compelling enough to get them into a conversation.
It's
with
called
us.
follow-up.
Right. Well, okay. That seems like there's probably a whole podcast we need to do just on that, because I believe there's an art that has been totally lost in our industry over the last decade, is the follow-up.
Right.
And I'm going to blame CRMs a little bit for it, and I'm probably not going to make a whole lot of friends saying that, but there's truth to it.
Well, the CRM now is the CDP. You've got all these different acronyms because the tech guys are trying to make a platform for every step. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the CDP, when we started AIM Data in '99, it was called a relational marketing database.
Okay, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it was called 25 years ago. You know, it's grown past that because now you've got data points in there that help.
Yep.
That you couldn't track back then, but you can 100% track now. But you still have to get back to the fundamentals, and the fundamental is if I don't have a name, an email address, or a mobile number, I can't follow you up.
So how many guys do you think still teach the 5 steps to the sale?
Oh, geez. How many guys can name them?
I can.
Yeah.
Meet and greet, counsel, qualify, demo, TO, box, close.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's the day. I mean you can get there's 10-step road to the sale.
Right.
There's but at the end of the day, it all starts with meet and greet. And
Right.
It started with meet and greet because that's the way we used to do it.
So I love the fact you guys bring up the meet and greet, right? Because when I first got into the business, I had a manager, and honestly, guys, I thought he was a total dick. Like I seriously did. Right?
He may have been.
Probably. But like every single morning, we had to go up to him, and we had to do this meet and greet verbatim. I'm serious. If we couldn't execute it verbatim, we got sent home that day. Like, get out of here. You're done. All right. And I'm just like, God, you are such a dick. Like, who does that to somebody? But now I thought about it. Now, of course,
That's a great manager.
Yes,
That's a
sir.
great
No,
operator.
So years have gone by, and maybe I've gotten a little more gray here and there and stuff like that. And now I kind of think back on that manager, and what I realize is what he was forcing us to do was to execute a story. All right, from the moment that I met them, and that story had to be consistent. And if it wasn't executed consistently, then there was no way to measure the effectiveness of this
100%.
story. Because my meet and greet wasn't just like, "Hey, how's it going? What can I help you?"
Standardized something
There was a
to measure
story.
against.
It really was. A proper meet and greet was a story, right? It was like, "Hey, my job here is to do this, this, and this. We're going to start here, and we're going to finish there."
Yeah.
It was it truly was a story.
Beginning,
behind
middle,
it.
and end.
Yes.
Yeah, ours were simple, but at the end of the day, I mean, it was not can I help you? That's what it. I can tell you what it wasn't. Right?
Hey, my name's Rob.
I'm going to tell you
How can
right
I
now.
help you?
I think for a lot of dealerships, like I said, we just bought a truck recently. I'm telling you, a lot of dealerships, that is exactly what they're meaning.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what if you don't take anything away from this segment at all, the marketing that moves the needle. You want to move the needle. Get rid of can I help you? Just start there, right? Because that is.
Are you here for the big sale?
Are you here for the? Yeah.
Wait, you didn't know about it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you.
My God, yeah.
Lucky you.
Lucky you, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's so fun. There's so many fundamentals at the showroom process level that we could get into all that. It's got nothing to do with marketing.
No.
But then it does, right? Well, because that is if the marketing
that is marketing.
That is
By
marketing.
how
If the
you-
marketing
yes.
does not meet the experience,
expectation of the
then
customer.
we've got a problem. You're not gonna get out of it.
And
what
the
you need.
continuity from the web to the showroom floor doesn't exist anymore.
No,
right?
they're not
There is
even
no
trying
con-
anymore.
No, so here's my question, guys, because I like kind of where we're going with this. I want to kind of steep on the rabbit hole of storytelling and how that plays out in creating a compelling marketing strategy. Because again, I think similar to the lost art of follow-up, I don't, like I said, just went to 6 different dealerships, talked to 12 different dealerships online. I mean, I'm telling you, there's just no storytelling at all. It is so much of a clerking experience. It was kind of embarrassing, but I just want to, that'll be another podcast, but I do want to kind of get your thoughts on what is a compelling story that dealers need to be executing on right now?
I think there's an element to the storytelling that needs to be executed, and that's called urgency.
Yeah.
Urgency. the car buying experience is an emotional experience, or at least it used to be, right?
It still is. It's just not for the salesperson.
Yeah, not for the salesperson. And that being lost loses the payoff for the customers, you just mentioned, Larry, if it's not there when they show up. Because this biggest purchase a person will make is a home, second's a car, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't treat it like that anymore. It's almost like it's disposable. This experience is a disposable experience. When it used to be an emotional buying experience that they could feel good about what they just accomplished and got done.
Well, I mean, you look back at the studies that have been done, and they'll tell you that time, the shorter the time, the better the CSI, the better the way the customer feels. And I 100% agree with that. There's no doubt that time is the only thing I can't get back.
Yep.
So I want to limit my time, but realistically, I don't want to necessarily limit my time, because even a minute wasted is a minute gone. I want that time that we do spend together to be beneficial to me.
Well, that's the key, because remember the days when we'll have you in and out in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
On the second biggest thing you'll ever purchase in your life, we do it
Well,
fast.
and some people will connect with that story.
Right.
So that's what I'm
Some
saying. Like, I think for dealers, if you're out there watching, listening to this right now, is that it's not a singular story.
Yeah.
All right. You need to have a story for every type of customer you're looking for, because I will say that 30-minute message probably would have spoke to me in a way. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, because a lot of people do.
But to other people that are like, no, I want to take my time. I want to try out a couple different vehicles, and then maybe I want to come back. It's
Well,
like,
I think it gets back to early 2000s, when the concept was give the customer all the information because they know more than you do already when they show up. I thought that was fundamentally flawed, because it's like repetition. How do you get, if you work out or you play sports, how do you get better? You do the same play over and over and over again, right? The customer only does this once every 6 years. They don't know more than the salesperson, they may know more about that
the
car,
right?
But they don't know how to buy one.
And they blanketed it. They did a bad job. They blanketed it that they know more than you.
Yes.
They know more about the car than you.
Because then what happened is the expectation of the salesperson, or the value of the salesperson, was diminished.
Right.
And so we just need greeters.
Yeah.
Because the people coming in know what they want. They know how to foursquare themselves. They know how to do it all.
Right.
That's not true. That's never true.
No, but I mean, I think, again, they don't know how to buy the car better than you know how to sell it. But they do know a lot about the car, but they don't know as much as you think.
No, and they don't know their credit score.
Right, because it comes back to time. Nobody is spending 4 hours online researching the car. They're not. I mean, no one. I know these people want to convince you they are. They are not doing that.
Well,
they like the way it looks. They like the way it looks. They
Auto
like the price.
Trader wants to tell you.
Oh yeah. Well, they're
all
spending.
those guys want to know.
All these. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say it. Bullshit. Okay. They're not spending 4 hours online buying the car. And I'll tell you what else they're not doing. They're not spending the time that they do spend researching and doing the car all at once. It's not one sit down thing. It is many. 5 minutes, 3 minutes here, there, and you total it all up.
It's stretched out. It might add up to 4 hours, but yeah, no one's saying that.
I don't think it's even going to add up to 4 hours.
Well, I'll tell you, I spent at least that finding my last truck.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, but I'm talking about the majority of the people.
But I want to say this because going back to what you said, it is one of the largest purchases you're ever going to make in your life. All right, so like I do believe there is time invested. I mean, how much time did we spend in looking around for a house? All right, probably
my wife. I didn't do it at all.
Okay,
she did it.
Yeah, exactly. I spent zero time. Because but it wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah.
A car's interesting to you, so you spend the time doing it. To the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year guy with this is a piece of transportation to get me from A to B, it's not as interesting to him.
Well, I think the current generation. You have a real mixed bag, right? You have a mixed bag of people that like just give me to point A to point B, and I don't give a crap what it is, right? And then there is still a large percentage of the generation out there buying it because that vehicle says something, and there's a statement that goes along with it. Yeah. It's like, I buy this, so therefore I identify as that. And boy, does everybody want to identify themselves as something, right? I buy a Jeep Wrangler because I identify that I am an outdoorsy, person who likes to go out there. Yet we all know more than 80+% of those vehicles never actually leave.
But you know why they researched the Jeep, right? They already thought they already knew they were buying a Jeep.
Well, now it's
they
it talks to
research.
them.
No, they you're gonna totally get it when I say it.
For aftermarket?
No, well, a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah, but they want it when they get around their Jeep friends. They want to prove to their friends they know more about the Jeep than the friends do.
Sure, why not?
That's why they research. They're not researching it to buy the Jeep. They already decided to buy the Jeep. That was done. But when I go in to my Jeep group, I want to be the prestige is I know more about the Jeeps than you do.
So that's a good
interesting
segue
take.
to understand the difference between the masses and the classes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right? And so I believe that unless you're a high-end luxury dealer, you market to the classes differently, right? What am I trying to say? You advertise to the masses, you market to the classes. And what's that mean is that a generalized message for a payment a month or low down, right? That resonates with everyone. I have 15 Carreras in stock. Only resonates with a few people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Good point.
right? So that, I think, is something that's been lost too, is what's the difference between the masses and the classes, and how do I reach and start the conversation with each segment of people, right?
Right.
One's very different than the other, very different. And so you got to know what you're selling, and you got to understand the problem that you're solving. There are want buyers and need buyers. They're totally different.
Yeah.
Right? A need buyer needs to get done. A want buyer has disposable income.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's just the personality of your store, right?
Right.
You know, Mercedes guy is not out there looking for the need buyer.
No.
Because
No.
I don't need a Mercedes.
Yes.
You
Right.
know, well,
I have one.
it depends on what kind of Mercedes it is. I might need that. If I go by and see a really cool one, I really might need that. But that's a whole nother matter.
Right.
You know, but the fact of the matter is that you get back to the strategy, right? And I think everybody thinks that strategy is this somehow complicated thing. If you can make strategy simple, you can execute it.
Yep.
Right. And so simple execution of strategy is, what do I want my advertising to do, and what do I want my marketing to do?
And what do I
It's
want my
two
salespeople
things.
then to do?
Yeah, the salespeople take it over from there, and that's the showroom plot process. And that starts with the meet and greet.
Correct.
Is it matching what I'm saying to my customer during the marketing phase, and is it matching is the marketing phase matching what I'm saying during the customer during the advertising phase?
Is that story continuing to go
Yeah.
through? In fact, that's probably a great way, guys. I know we're running at the tail end of our time at today's conversation, and I know three of us could easily go another half an hour on this topic, but I think for everybody out there watching and listening right now, Larry did a great job of kind of summing it up, right? It's, what are the right KPIs?
Yep.
Let's start there. If you really want to move the needle, then you need to look at the KPIs.
Well, I get back to those 5 that I started with when this segment began.
Exactly.
Spend, opportunities, closes, gross, ROI.
Yep.
And then going back to what Larry was saying, if you guys out there watching and listening right now, is what story is going to move them through that process. And here's the thing, it takes time. Right? There's no magic wand. There's no button or lever that we go out and push. You're going to have to really kind of take the time at your dealership to sit down, identify the KPIs and the story that needs to be told to kind of move people along. This has been a fun episode, guys. And I definitely think we're going to get some comments. And I'm sure you guys are going to have some people who want to connect with you and continue this conversation.
And we might have people say, these guys don't know shit.
Hey, look, well, I could almost guarantee you I know who those people are.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
you do. Right,
they're trying to
right,
sell
right,
you
right.
a click or an impression.
Yeah, we definitely may not have made a bunch of friends on this particular episode, but
that's not good for me.
it needed to be said.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, the friends that I want to make, I want to help car dealers. That's there are people that want to do cashectomies on car dealers, and then there are guys that want to help car dealers. I've
100%.
always found that if you can help a car dealer and you do a good job, you will be able to do a good job for that guy for a long time.
Right.
If you're a cashectomy guy, you're only going to do it for a short period
of time,
and that's a bad road to go. But if you're a professional, you're committed, you understand the man's business, you understand how to help him, man or woman, excuse me. And that's about finding a market, solving a problem for that market, asking the customers to come down and do your meet and greet, so to speak, and take you through the process.
Sure.
And, there's a lot of fear. Like, if I don't get them to my store today, or if I'm not the first one, I won't sell it.
Yeah.
Well, how many ups did you have last month? How many did you close? So all those people that didn't buy, does that mean they're not buying? No, they went somewhere else. So that means they went to 2 stores, not 1.5, 2. So these stories that have been
but you don't want to be the 0.2.
No, you don't. You don't.
And really, if
you are, because no one closes 100%.
Yeah, no one closes 100%. So somebody's
there's
a
always
0.2.
30% would be a big number. I mean, that's even a fictitious number.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
Hey, for everyone out there watching and listening right now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. This has been a lot of fun. Hey, one of the biggest compliments that you can give any one of us up here today is to share the show.
Yeah.
All right. It means so much to us when you guys share the show. If you guys have a colleague or a manager or a friend that needs to see some part of today's conversation, that means a lot to us. If you guys would like to see more content like this, Larry, where can they go to see more content like this?
You can go to thedealercast.com and just type in thedealercast.com. The episodes will all be there. You'll be able to subscribe to the podcast, listen to it at your convenience in the car, at the gym, wherever you're at. By all means, send us questions. There'll be questions at thedealercast.com. Send an email in your questions. Don't make it hard. Don't make it complicated. We're not that smart. Keep them simple for us old folk. But at the end of the day, send us. You asking questions, answering those questions. Spending your time is the highest compliment you can give any one of us. There's just no time left, and you never get it back. So the 30 minutes that you've spent listening to this, thank you, because you'll never get that 30 minutes back again, and so that's priceless. And we really appreciate that gesture, that giving of time is the highest compliment you can give anyone.
You just took up a lot of time to say that.
I know.
Yeah, that was one of the longest acts in the world. So go to thedealercast.com to check out more episodes. Guys, this has been a blast. Everyone out there watching and listening, you all have yourselves an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.